Samkelo, it is absolutely a privilege and a pleasure to have you on our platform. And maybe for your followers who will be watching this, my name is Chris Twala. I'm the founder and director of an NGO called Minds of Good Health. And what we're trying to do is to raise awareness of depression and provide venues to those who are battling with depression. So, and it is absolutely a privilege to have you on this platform. You've been very generous with your time. Samkelo, before we start, I just wondered if you would tell us a bit about yourself, maybe some of the things that we don't read about you on media or whatever. Just a little bit about yourself, please.
Firstly, thank you for having me. It is always, very important for me to take advantage of platforms that allow us to speak about mental health and the importance of mental health. So thank you for having me. My name is Samkelo Ndlovu, and as you know, I'm an actress and musician. What do people not know about me? I'm a dog lover. I'm a self-proclaimed cook. I am a gym fanatic, but I'm more of a yoga type of girl. Yeah. So you'll often find me in a yoga class or a Bikram yoga class. I love going back to Ekasi to go hang out with my friends and get my car washed. So I'm also still quite an original girl. And yes, that's probably what people don't know about me.
Great. That's fantastic, Samkelo. I read something striking this morning. It is by a Danish philosopher. His name, if I can get it right, it's Søren Kierkegaard. Yeah, Søren Kierkegaard. He's a Danish philosopher. He wrote something like this. Let me read. Let me quote, rather. He says, in addition to my other numerous acquaintances, I have one more intimate confidant. My depression is the most faithful mistress I've known. No wonder then that I return the love. Let me repeat. This is Søren Kierkegaard. He says, in addition to my other numerous acquaintances, I have one more intimate confidant. My depression is the most faithful mistress I've known. No wonder then that I return the love. End quote. Now I found that so this guy, he's saying, look, this is the only thing that I know and that I love. And
it to me, he says he's got many acquaintances, but there's this really loyal, acquaintance. But what did he call her? He called her something else. He didn't call
my faithful
depression
mistress. Yeah.
Mistress. So when he uses the word mistress, to me, it speaks to a, a forbidden connection, something that shouldn't be. And so the thing is with the mistress is that a lot of the time mistresses are very loyal. They'll work around your schedule, they'll work around your life, and they'll be loyal to you. And I find it interesting that he uses that word to describe what depression is to him. It's a thing that shouldn't be happening to him, but it is, and he always returns the love because she always comes back and she's loyal to him. And just the juxtaposition of those two themes is so, it really, really hit me when you read that, because it really is quite a deep quote. And he's talking to two themes, and it sounds like he's, constantly just negotiating between those two tensions. And it makes it so hard and so heartbreaking. You can practically hear how hard it is for him to let go. Because a mistress is not a once-off thing that you do with when you're being unfaithful to monogamy. in that theme. So it's not somebody you see once and you forget about. It's a mistress.
Yeah.
They enjoy the game and they want to play the game, and you are running around behind whoever's back, and they're there and they'll always work around you. And that's so interesting, because with depression, depression hits you anytime.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have a schedule to say, oh, when it's that time of the month, I get depressed, or every time this happens, I get depressed. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It can happen when some of the best things around you are happening.
Yes.
And that's why I always find it interesting when people say, why would depressed? Una yonke into, una everything. You know what I mean? You've got everything. You've got a job, a house, a home, blah, 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 blah. And they count all these material things that are supposedly supposed to complete you.
Yeah.
But even when those things are fine, depression can still hit you.
Yes.
And that's a very, very interesting thing.
And it's very interesting that he says, no wonder that I return my love. So I love it.
Oh.
And to me, this was very perceptive in some cases, as you've already said, if he's already said that there's a juxtaposition there, something that shouldn't be there, but it's there. When I battled with my own depression, there were times that I'm feeling fine. I'm just having a braai, having a drink. It's nice. It's kif. Everything is okay. Yeah. But then now something will remind me that, Chris, remember that you are depressed. Remember that your love is not here. Your lover is not here anymore. Now, then if I'm not worried about anything, then I start to worry about why I'm not worried.
I hear you.
So it's that phenomenon.
Then you feel guilty for not worrying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this leads on to my question. Someone asked me yesterday, Wuti, what about then this couple? They want to be in love, just two people. Both of them are depressed, but they love each other. Can that relationship work? I mean, we've heard about if you've got HIV/AIDS, you need to check your CD4 count and all that, eat healthy, whatever. But with depression, you cannot draw blood. But now, what about these two people who are in love? They want to be together, but they are depressed. I mean, what is your advice there?
Do you mean that they're both depressed, or one of them is battling with it?
Both of them are depressed, but they want to work it out. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, firstly, I'd like to speak to the drawing of the blood that you just spoke of. Yeah. You actually can draw blood when you go to see a clinical psychologist, somebody who is clinical in their theory of depression and mental health.
Yeah.
Are you releasing enough serotonin?
Yes.
Are you releasing enough endorphins? Are you releasing enough feel-good hormones?
Yeah.
Because our bodies naturally release that. And that's what helps us wake up and feel good and feel the sunlight, and everything is great.
Yeah.
Now, if your body has a deficiency for that, then a clinical psychologist will be able to tell how much of a supplement you need to help kickstart your body into motion again, into producing enough of those hormones.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, I would suggest that this couple really just not, make it about them being a couple, because depression is a very personal thing. I don't think it's something that we can both share. And we cannot both have depression and share it.
Yeah.
It's my depression and it's your depression. Yeah. So I think first they need to remove the umbrella that they're sitting under of saying we're a couple dealing with depression. Yeah. And once they make it personal and they realize the inner work that they individually have to do, they'll be able to heal parts of themselves that in an instance where they had stayed under that umbrella, they would have probably required their partner to labor that. And that's not fair. That's not fair to ask somebody to labor such a huge thing that is happening inside of you. So I think that once they've gone over that hurdle, they can now focus on healing what may have been damaged in the fire between the two of them. You know, once they've individually done the work, you know, I don't know if we all have access to a clinical psychologist who's going to take our blood and figure out how much hormones are we releasing? Are we fine? And if we don't, at the very least, we can see a therapist.
Yes.
Somebody who can help us talk through it.
Yeah.
And that's when the internal work starts. And we have to be the ones to do it for ourselves.
Yes.
And we cannot put it on the next person. Yeah. We cannot do that because that is not fair. And, you know, depression is a conscious thing because once it hits you, you know it's here. Yeah. You know it's here. Yeah. It's the big elephant in the room, but you know it's here. Yeah. It's not like a narcissistic personality disorder where you're this person now and you're the next person now and then you're the next person. And there's a narcissism to it that, you know, kind of makes it toxic for the people around you. And that, I believe, is quite conscious because those people who suffer from that kind of mental disorder, so to say, need to be, you know, monitored and monitor their, you know, their behavioral patterns, etc. So with depression, I definitely do think that in that instance with a couple, I think it starts with you. Yes. And if it means that, you know, if it means that you might want to move back home for a little while and just be in a different space and find yourself again and speak to the little girl in you, then do that. Yeah. And your partner needs to be able to, you know, be ready to help you get all the resources that you need to heal and to find what your triggers are and, you know, what your trauma responses are. And then from there. Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you very much, Samkelo, for those wise words. We are facing this monstrous pandemic, and I mean, it has hit everyone. Part of my life, I'm in tourism, and I think our sector has been hit the hardest. Yes. So people are battling financially, and that will go with mental health, and so your normal duties are not met anymore. Yes. Samkelo, how would you encourage your fellow South Africans? They love you. They love you. So they want to hear from you. How do you maintain mental health during this dire period? I think that what is important is for us to note the actual change in our lives. The fact that we cannot move around as easily as we were able to. We are now confined. And there's something about confinement that is so claustrophobic, and it can make you act out, you know, out of character. And it's important for us to note these things and also step back sometimes and go, hey, wait a minute, that's not me. That's not how I would really respond. This is my own trauma response to this change, because we're all having our own little fires happening inside of us, inside of each of us, about the traumas of the sudden and very, you know, heavily imposed change. It's big. Not being able to get up, go to work and provide for your family, not being able to go to school, not being able to move around and see loved ones and be freely yourself and walk around and go wherever you want to go to, it's a huge change. And they've asked us to stay in confinement. Confinement is a huge thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a personal thing. It forces you to look in the mirror. And sometimes we aren't going to like what we find. Yes. And I'd just like to encourage people to be gentle with themselves and to really just be soft with themselves, because this is happening to everybody.
Yes.
And even with removing that, I think people should be gentle with themselves, be soft with themselves, and to not make permanent decisions about relationships, or however the relationship is, business-wise, romantic, friendships, family. I'd encourage people to not make any permanent decisions right now, because a lot of us are having trauma responses to certain things that are happening, and they aren't really us. They aren't really how we would behave, and it's just because of what's happening to us. Confinement is a huge thing. It's taking somebody who's been free all their lives and saying, hey, stay here. And we don't all have gardens that we can have some fresh air in and sit in the sun and play with your dog.
Yes.
It's not everybody who has that situation. Some people's confinement is actually claustrophobic. It doesn't feel like it is.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to be gentle with each other and be gentle with ourselves. And that is what I'll have to say. And we will get through it. Yeah. We will get through it. It's almost over. If we can just, sing a happy kakhulu, njengoba sekuvulwe i-country, so to say. Let us not just make it worse for ourselves. Yeah. Because we can have another surge or a spike in numbers, and we'll be back in confinement. Yeah. And that's not what we want for ourselves. So stay strong, be gentle with yourself, be soft with yourself, be gentle with others, have a lot of compassion, and just try a little bit harder this time and these days to understand why people are the way that they are, because we're all dealing with a lot more than usual right now.
Yeah. Samkelo, thank you very much for your time. This has been a great chat interview. Relax. Your words, be gentle to yourself. I'm a perfectionist. And yeah. This has encouraged me big time. I mean, I get nervous. Yeah. So if the meeting is at whatever, maybe 12, it has to be at 12. Yeah. If my bank balance is not in the certain way that I want it to be, I get nervous. So your words saying, look, be gentle to yourself, because you cannot pour from the empty cup. So if you're not gentle to yourself,
so important.
You cannot be gentle to other people. So same applies to relationships. If you don't love yourself, so self-actualization. So if you don't love yourself, how do you expect to love other people? In the previous session on Facebook, I just said that one of the fundamental mistakes I've made in my life was to think that I was in love, but I was in love with the idea of love, or of being loved. So kind to yourself. I mean, that is loaded. I mean, what does it mean? So I need to be patient with myself. I need to practice patience. I need to understand.
And compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion. Be kind to yourself. You know your own suffering. You know your own suffering. Be kind. Be kinder. Speak highly of yourself. Don't speak about yourself or think about yourself negatively. Be kinder. Don't say things about yourself that you wouldn't like if somebody else said. About yourself. You have to be kinder to yourself and deal with yourself with a lot more softness right now. A lot more softness.
Wow. Great. Let's leave it there. Thank you very much, Samkelo. You've been really good. My heart is warm. Like it's like I know it's an
Oh,
organ, but it's
thank you for
warm.
having me.
That's great. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. We'll
Thank you
chat
for
again.
having me. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your lockdown.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that how we say it? Do we say enjoy it? What do we say?
We normally say stay safe.
Stay safe, stay
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Stay safe, stay home. Cool.
Yeah, okay.